Mr. Reynolds, I guess you were right after all. Maria is cheating on you. Your business partner and cousin, Alistair Reynolds, is the man. The room went silent. Submit all the information you have gathered and find doofus. Are you sure, Mr. Reynolds? Pascal, my assistant, questioned. A nail is always dealt with a hammer, and I plan to use a sledgehammer. My name is Mark Reynolds. I am 49 years old, and I am married to Maria, 42-year-old. My grandfather, Roger Reynolds from the 101st Airborne Division, fought the SS in the heart of Berlin. My father, Mark Reynolds, once again from the 101st Airborne Division, fought the Viet Cong in the jungles of Vietnam. He was injured in the Battle of Hamburger Hill and had to retire. Me was part of the 1st Armored Division. I led my team in the Middle East during the First Gulf War. I retired after being taken out by small arm fire in the heart of Kuwait. I still have 3 bullets lodged inside me. The doctors let them stay there as they were not a risk to me. I came back to my small town. My father always saw the good in people, and that is why he hired former convicts for his business. These were people who wanted to rebuild their lives but had been rejected by the society. I joined my father's business and we worked hard to make it big. We made small parts for big machines. These were specially designed and patented by my father's company. Big companies making big machines for factories overseas used them. The material used were special alloys, and the blend was also patented with my father's company. There was a separate company that my father started with his cousin Arnold Reynolds. The partnership was largely due to low funds, and Arnold paid some money to help start the business. He owned 20% of the company and was later passed down to Alistair after Arnold passed away. I met Maria at a business conference in New York City. She was the event manager, and I was smitten by her beauty, and after the conference asked her out. She reluctantly agreed, and we went for a coffee. I extended my stay for a week, and after 3 coffee dates, we started dating. We dated for about 2 years, meeting on, and then finally I proposed. We got married in a small ceremony, and Maria moved to our small town. My father and grandfather, both widowers, never liked her. As per them, she was not meant for the life in a small town. Well, I guess they were right. After 3 years in the small town, she was done and wanted me to move to the big city. I was clear about leaving my town. I had my business. It was doing good, and moving to a big city will wreck it. Although we did open a small office in New York City, I used to visit it only once a month, and Maria used to go with me, and the entire day, she used to go shopping. We had our first and only son, Jason Reynolds, after 2 years of our marriage, and he is currently serving in Afghanistan. Unlike rest of us, he is a Navy SEAL. A few months ago, my life started to take a big turn. Maria and I used to share a very strong bond. We had our share of fights and arguments, but always used to sleep in each other's arms. Our sex life was great, and we never had any complaints. So, what changed? We now fight every day, and the topic remains the same. Let's sell your business and move to a big city. There is no fun in this town. It's boring, and it stinks. It may stink, but it is my home. I have a responsibility for the society and people of this town. Besides, you do get to go to the big city and enjoy. What does the big city offer that the city does not? She was silent. I want to enjoy the money that we make. I want to live near a beach and spend the rest of my life near a beach. I want to go to Paris and live there as well. You have been to Paris. Hell, you have been to the entire Europe for vacation. Do you even know what you want? I just don't want to stay in this town. She screamed. I did not say a word and walked out. I made my point clear. I have 300 people working for me. If I sell this company, there is no guarantee for their lives. Society does not want them. What will they do? Also, this is my family legacy. No amount of money can make me sell this. This went on for 2 months, and then tragedy struck. My father passed away. He died due to a heart stroke. He died in his chair. A chair he will leave to me. I inherited his share of the company as per his will. Strangely, the company that held the patents was not passed down to me and went to my 98-year-old grandfather. I was surprised to say the least, but did not plan to ask my grandfather about this. It was just 3 days after my father died, I saw Maria, dressed to the nine, walking out of the house. I wanted to ask about her plans, but she just walked past me and out of the door. She sat in her car and just drove off. I did not expect her to mourn, but walking past me without acknowledging my presence was new for me. This got me off. I called Pascal, my trusted assistant. He is a former accountant of a Colombian cartel. His presence was a cover-up. He assisted the DEA in busting a big trafficking operation in USA and now lives here as a cover-up. I think Maria is cheating on me, and I want you to find out everything that is going on with Maria. Where is she going? Who is she meeting? When is she sleeping? Everything. Do you copy? I will submit my report in 3 weeks. I hung up. 3 weeks later, I saw a Google Meet invite for a special meeting. Pascal has set up a meeting in the company office. He was already in the room and was putting up the projector for the large screen. I don't think I want things on the large screen. Just show me on your laptop. Am I right about her cheating on me? Mr. Reynolds, I guess you were right after all. Maria is cheating on you. Your business partner and cousin, Alistair Reynolds, is the man. But there is more than just cheating. The room went silent. Your wife plans to file for divorce and take over the company. She gets 50% of your shares, and that makes her and Alistair hold 60% of the company and drive you out of here. Submit all the information you have gathered and find doofus. Are you sure, Mr. Reynolds? He questioned. A nail is always dealt with a hammer, and I just plan to use a sledgehammer. Call the bank and execute what we discussed. 3 hours later, Pascal walked in my room and put the papers in front of me. I signed the papers and smiled. You owe me a drink. Pascal walked out and came in with my favorite scotch. You planned already? I asked. I have been with you for the last 10 years, sir. I know how to keep my boss happy. We both had a toast and smiled. That evening, I went home and found Maria sitting in my couch and sipping on my favorite scotch. I walked in and sat in front of her. She handed me a manila envelope and said, "My dear husband, you have been served." How long have you been planning this? I asked. It's been a few months. So, was it just sex, or was it love? She was surprised and asked, "You know?" "Oh, yes," I said while handing her the copy of the file. "This has all your exploits from the last few weeks. Do you think it's worth the risk?" "There is no risk. I don't care what you do with this file." She threw it back to me. "You want to publish it on the internet? Go ahead. File for adultery. Be my guest. I don't care. I still end up with the company and the money. This house, the cars, and everything will be mine. I will ask again, Maria, is it worth the risk?" She got annoyed and walked out of the room. I was heartbroken, but I knew it was no time for breaking down. Only strong men survive desperate times. I packed some of my clothes and personal stuff and walked out of my house. I took my favorite car with me. I drove straight to my grandfather. Even at 98, he is active, and he opened the door. We hugged and he asked, "I was expecting you by morning." I was surprised and followed him in. "How do you know?" I asked. "Get the divorce done. We will talk after that." He walked away to his room. He never talked much. It took 5 months of back and forth, and the divorce was finalized, and Maria was to get 50% of my company. She got 50% of the house and got to keep my inheritance before the marriage, which was nothing. It was a 30th of the month, and the company boardroom was filled with lawyers. I was sitting there with Pascal, and Maria was sitting with Alistair. My lawyer, David, got up and asked everyone for their attention. As part of the divorce agreement, Ms. Maria Carter gets 40% of the company's share. Are we clear? David asked the attending crowd of 5 witnesses. As for the company, if any employee is let go, in the next 1 year, you will pay him or her a severance package which consists of a year's salary and performance bonus. Since this company employs 300 people, you will not be able to sell the company for the next 1 year. Hopefully everyone is clear at the court's orders. Yes, we are clear. Alistair nodded. Everyone, sign here on the dotted lines and make it official. Everyone signed and went back to their respective chairs. Mark, as of now you are fired, Maria said triumphantly. Are you sure, Maria? I asked. Yes, I am. All right, Ms. Maria, you now need to pay Mark his year's salary and the performance bonus. That would be $1.2 million. Pascal and I had expected that, so we had the calculations in place. Maria protested and said that I do not deserve any package. Since he was the CEO, he is a salaried employee, and since he is being terminated after the signing of the agreement, he is eligible for the package. Are you saying you cannot afford to pay him, or do you intend to violate the court orders? That can get you in trouble. Maria fell for it and signed a check and threw at me. Pascal picked it up and put that in his pocket. My grandfather made a surprise entry. He was dressed in a black business suit. As he walked in, everyone except Maria got up from their chairs. He is respected by everyone. He came in and sat down on a chair. He waved everyone to sit down, then asked everyone to leave the room apart from Alistair, me, and Maria. He looked at Alistair and said, Al, are you in this mess? Alistair, not able to look at my grandfather, looked towards the wall and said, I want this company. I have waited all my life in shadows, and now it's my time for the spotlight. What did you do for the spotlight? Sleep with this woman. Excuse me. You cannot talk about me like that, Maria sneered. Alistair tried to hold her hand and asked her to sit and be silent. So, Al, as I was asking you, what did you do? Mark worked to his bones to make this company a success. He died on his chair. He gave his entire life for this company, for these people who were rejected by society. What price are you willing to pay? He got up, looked at Maria and said, everything that you get in life has a price. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, everyone pays. He walked out and I saw fear in Alistair's eyes. I went out and saw my grandfather waiting for me. I would need Pascal for a day. I have some emails that he needs to help me with. I called Pascal and he quickly took the driver's spot and I sat with my grandfather in his car. Tomorrow morning, they will know why you should never cross a soldier, he said and closed his eyes. Next morning, I woke up and for the first time in years, I was without any thoughts. My mind was free and I was at peace. Within a few minutes, my phone blew up. I knew who was calling and why. I ignored and enjoyed my coffee. It was at 11 o'clock when Pascal came in. I asked him to take my calls. He took my phone. The next call was from Alistair. The production has stopped. Why? Where are you? Why are you not in office? Pascal screamed back. Listen, you dim-witted baboon. I don't work for you, and next time you scream at me, I will crush your voice box. Do you understand? As for your production, your license for the use of designs has expired and has not been renewed. So if you start production, we will sue you for your life. Low in teens? Wow. I guess I am lucky not to be Alistair, I smiled. Mr. Roger had me send a mail to the management team of your ex-company to stop production. So, now they have a factory and no production. No production, no revenue, no money for worker salary, lot of layoffs within days, violation of court orders, or big dent in their pockets. What if they still make the tools and sell them? He had me send a mail to every buyer as well. They responded that they will wait for you to be back. I asked. I'm not sure how he convinced them. I guess he has more tricks up his sleeves than he shows. Did you call Doofus? I already had a word with him. He is on his way. But are you sure, Mr. Reynolds? I was about to answer, but the phone rang. Pascal handed the phone to me. Your beloved ex-wife, he said sarcastically. I smiled and answered. I'm not interested in any booty call. Why did you take a mortgage on the house? Why was I never informed about it? For starters, that house was under my name, so I can do whatever I want to do with it. As for the money, I gave that away to all our employees as a special bonus and even mentioned that it was not part of their yearly bonus. Why did I not tell you about it? You never asked. What about our money in the bank? She asked. I gave the money to your son. He will need it when he retires from his job. She hung up. A day later, I got the news that the factory is open, but there is no work. Everyone is sitting idle. Some people heard Alistair and Maria fighting and arguing in the boardroom. Trouble in paradise. 2 days later, Pascal came to me. Sir, Maria and Alistair are leaving for New York City tomorrow evening. They plan to meet a prospective buyer to sell the factory. Since there is no production, they intend to sell the land and move to a foreign country. But buying the factory is a violation of the court order. I said, they do not plan to sell legally, it's just a cover. The new owner wants to buy and still run the company. It will look like a change of management. The workers will be asked to work under the new management, but they will be given work that they cannot do and will be asked to leave due to non-performance. Court orders will not be violated. I looked at Pascal and said, it's time. He nodded and walked out. The next day at 11 p.m., I got a video call. Mr. Reynolds has a message for you. The voice on the other side spoke and moved the camera towards Maria. Looks like you had some fun, I said. Maria was covered in mud and was hanging from her seatbelt. Her car was turned upside down. Alistair was not conscious and was not moving. You remember the last time we spoke? I asked you, was it worth the risk? My father gave his entire life. I gave my entire life. We expect the same from the person who wants to take over. Entire life. Doofus, please collect the debt. He hung up. The next morning, the local news covered the entire incident. New owners of Reynolds Works die in fatal car crash. Their car was found in the valley burnt to crisp. The bodies are beyond recognition. They were identified by the rings that they were wearing, which mentioned their names. I called my son to inform him about his mother's demise and our divorce. He was sad but understood. I informed him that he is now one of the owners of the company and asked him what does he want to do with it. He stated that he will pass the power of attorney to me and I can manage it. By the end of the day, I was back as the CEO of the company, and the very next day, production started and the supply chain was restored. Since the house belonged half to me and half to my son, I moved back in. Before moving back to my house, I went to my grandfather. You said we will talk after the divorce. Did you collect what was due? He looked at me. I kept my head down. Don't put the head down, boy. We are warriors. We defend and keep what is ours. We take what is ours and give in return nothing. Did you forget our motto? Rendezvous with destiny, I said. Your ex-wife had hers. Now it's time for you to take back what is yours and hand it to our family heir. Did you know about Maria cheating on me? Boy, after I was done with the army, I worked for the CIA. So, I may be old, but my network is always young, and I know what is going on and where. Your father and I knew, and we plan to teach her a lesson when the time comes. So, your father's company was handed to me, not you. Could we have stopped Maria? He smiled and said, could God have stopped Eve from eating the forbidden fruit? You know the answer, my boy. I always had my eyes on you, my boy. Exactly why I kept Pascal with you. What? He was with me because of you? Now don't get angry on him. Your father got him here. He will continue working with you. What about you? Do you not need help here? Help? I already have a helper. He rang a bell near his chair. To my surprise, Doofus walked in and asked, do you need something, sir? Give Mr. Reynolds some water. You did good. Exactly what I would have done. I did it for the people who worked here, not for my personal revenge. He looked at me and said, exactly what I said, my boy. You did good. Now get lost. I need to rest. 2 years later, my son came back and joined the business. My grandfather is still alive and is now being looked after by Doofus. He likes him. I never married or dated again. I just wanted to make sure that I take the company to great heights and hand it over to my son. The cops did come to ask me about Maria's death. Since I am a known figure and social worker, I was never the suspect. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. They taught me something I took to battlefield. It's called the art of war. I used it in battlefield. It was time to use it in my marriage. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Mason Ryan. I retired from the Marines after 16 years of service. Not that I wanted to leave, but I had to. My chopper went down in the middle of Kabul, taking hits from the Taliban and killing everyone on board and leaving me near the gates of hell. I survived as I was the closest to the chopper door. As the RPG hit the tail rotor and the chopper went to the death spin, my body was flung out and I landed on the roof of a big house. Luckily, the roof collapsed and reduced the speed of my fall. Most of the bones in my leg broke. My ribs were crushed, neck broke in 2 places. I was picked up by the rescue team and later transferred in AC-130 to Berlin. After 4 weeks in a coma, I finally opened my eyes. It took 2 years of rehab to get me back on my feet. Although my body was healing, my heart was still broken. I had no work and I had no idea what I would do. The Brigadier General knew about my condition and made a few recommendations, and that helped me get a job at a local shopping complex as the head of security. It was not as exciting as fighting the Taliban, but it was still paying, and I knew my days as a soldier are long gone. Life started again, and to find my peace, I took to the church. Every morning, I worked out and tried to get back in shape. I went to the church every Sunday and spent time helping minor chores there. My parents visited me occasionally and asked me to find a woman and get settled. Well, at 37 years old, I knew it was now or never. So far, I never had a steady partner. I did date a few women in the past, but since I was mostly deployed overseas, I never got to the committed to marry stage. I decided to put myself on the dating world and registered on a few dating apps. Although I was good looking, the scars on my face did bring some extra eyes on my profile. I guess women like men with scars. Mine were from battle. It was not long that I got a notification. Stacy McDonald wants to send a message. Accept. I accepted and we chatted for 5 minutes. We eventually decided to meet. To my surprise, she was in the same city as mine, so the meeting did not take long to plan and execute. We met at a local cafe, and I was surprised to see that she actually looked like her profile picture. I waved at her, and she walked towards me. I was expecting a 70-year-old desperate man, she laughed. I am surprised myself. You are just like your picture, I smiled. These scars are real. I thought they were just photoshopped for added effect. Nah, I got them in Afghanistan. By the way, what would you like to have? I asked. We got ourselves some coffee and spent 2 hours chatting. She worked at a local college as a history professor, never married. As per her, people find her boring and nerdy as she talks too much about historical stuff. However, I loved our conversations. We dated for a year, and I moved in with her. I asked Stacy to marry me after 2 years of dating and 1 year of living together. She accepted and we got married. We did not plan to have kids. We wanted to adopt but decided to delay the plan. It was a wonderful time. We enjoyed our little blissful life. It was simple. We used to go to work, come home, eat dinner, and have our loving snuggles and passion-filled nights. I could not have asked for more. Love does strange thing to people. It will either make you weak or it will change you to a totally different person. Stacy was a very shy and a conservative woman. Being with me, she had come out of her cocoon. She was not a vibrant woman. She was more outgoing and enjoyed life. But then you see, life was never fair. I guess someone watching from above always wants to add some spice to your life. However, I guess sometimes his hand slips and he adds too much to handle. Stacy recently started her girls' night out. I was skeptical at first and even followed her to her destination. Not that I was suspicious, but to ensure that she was safe. It was her first time getting social like that. She started going to the gym and yoga. I was very happy to see her transform from a nerdy woman to a beautiful super hot woman. A few days later, she was with me at the kitchen table. I plan to go out with the students to Mesa Verde National Park is in southwest Colorado. We have a project to complete on the Cliff Palace, she said. That is a nice place. I have been there when I was a child. When do you plan to go? This Friday morning, and we will be back by Tuesday evening. How do you expect me to be away from you for so long? How am I going to sleep? I said, let me give you some love to last that long. She did keep up on her promise, and that night was great. Just as my favorite pro wrestler Ric Flair used to say, ride the Space Mountain all night long. Stacy left Friday morning, and for the first time in years, I was a bit scared. I am not sure why, but it was a bit scary. My heart was telling me that this is not right. Stop her. Your intuitions at times tells you to do the right thing, but more often than not, we tend to ignore it. Stacy kept calling me throughout her trip, letting me know where she was and what she was doing. Sunday evening, she sounded a bit tired and down. She told me that she was a bit tired and just wanted to rest. It was a Tuesday evening that I picked her up from the airport and went home. I wanted to get down and dirty with her as soon as I reached home. However, she did not show any emotion and just kissed me and said that she wants to rest. For the next 3 days, she was silent and just complained that she was tired. I was not buying her excuse and asked if something happened during the trip. I could make that her lips did open to speak something, but she changed the topic back to being tired. Did she forget? I am a former Marine. I have seen people lie to me. I have been trained to identify them and get the truth out of them. However, this was my wife and not a Taliban soldier. I did not do anything, but a small red flag was raised. The next evening, she was at home when I came back from work. As soon as I reached home, she pounced on me. We never reached to the bed. Although it was great, it was a second red flag. You don't switch emotions on and off that quick. I started watching her every move. When you love someone, you tend to get comfortable around them and let your observations pass. However, when you start observing them properly, it all comes clear. New obsession with staying fit, wearing nice short clothes, girls' night out, more time on social media, chatting on phone, clicking selfies. Everything was not her usual nature. Or was her previous nerdy persona a sham? I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. They taught me something I took to battlefield. It was a book called The Art of War. I used it in battlefield. It was time to use it in my marriage. Chapter 1. Laying plans. In Chapter 13, Use of Spies. Explore the 5 fundamental factors. First, the way. How is she cheating? Second, seasons. Nothing to check her. It's urban warfare. Third, terrain. Check her college and my neighborhood. Fourth, leadership. Check for parties involved. And fifth, management. Check their backgrounds. I needed to put Stacy under surveillance. I installed voice-activated recorders in her car, 3 in my house, and hidden cameras in living room, kitchen, cover entire exterior of the house. 24/7 manual surveillance was not possible as I had a job, so I installed LoJack in her car. I would know where she is going, if she is using her car. I did take 2 days off from my office to keep an eye on her movements. It did not take time to find the culprit. Roger Grisham, a 21-year-old history student. Well, that was a new low. I expected an old professor. Roger Grisham, son of a local businessman and aspiring politician, Teddy Grisham. His business involves getting illegal immigrants over the border and crystal distribution. Roger is an athlete. As for what I could understand, he is good. There are some chemicals who remain inert unless they come in contact with a specific element. The result is a sometimes amazing and sometimes catastrophic. Stacy just did that for her. Chapter 2, Waging the War. It asks us to understand the economy of warfare and how success requires winning decisive engagements quickly. In short, what will it cost me if I was to take action? I do not own the house, it's Stacy's house. We don't have a joint account. She has a better salary than me, no alimony for her. So, financially, I don't lose a lot. Chapter 3, Plan of Attack. I now have a week's footage and recordings. Any plan that will be formulated will be done after I am through with them all. Although I had only one-sided recordings, I could make out what is going on. Apparently, Roger had seduced Stacy on their trip. Although Stacy termed it as an initial mistake, it seems that she is getting thrilled by the fact that what she is doing is not supposed to be done. A person who has followed all the rules throughout his life at times gets a thrill from breaking rules. It gives him a high he has never felt. Stacy is that person. They have been bold enough to get intimate in our kitchen. So, I guess Stacy has moved beyond the stage of turning back. Do I still try to salvage my marriage, or do I just give her a divorce? Has the thrill gone to her head and turned her into a different person? If that is the case, I need to just walk out and save myself from any emotional harm. That can be done only when I confront her. So, plan is to confront her and possibly divorce her. As for Roger, he is going to learn a lesson in understanding boundaries and why they must be respected. Chapter 4, Tactical Dispositions. It teaches commanders the importance of recognizing strategic opportunities and teaches not to create opportunities for the enemy. I gathered all the evidence and waited for Stacy at home. Stacy walked in at 7 p.m. that evening. I was waiting for her in the kitchen table with a beer in my hand. Too much work at college. I asked. I was very tiring. I am all stressed out. Stressed out? I thought having sex reduces your cortisol levels. How come you were stressed? She looked at me all puzzled. Don't be surprised, Stacy, you had sex today. In fact, it was this very table here where you had sex. I guess driving back and forth between college can get you tired, but not stressed. She gasped. What are you talking about? I did not cheat on you. How can you say such a thing? I got up and asked her to follow me. I played a video on the TV. Well, the woman looks like you, sounds like you, has the same mole on her right bum. I guess she is you. Stacy broke down and started crying. I was always with you. I pampered you. I loved you. Here you're getting screwed on the very table we eat on. I am leaving Stacy. I will get in touch with a lawyer in the morning and start the divorce process. I went to the bedroom and packed some of my clothes and went out. As I came down, I saw Stacy sitting on the couch with a smirk on her face. That smirk was different. I have seen that. But where? Afghanistan. I have seen that smirk on a Taliban fighter just before he blew up. I survived that day. Chapter 5, Use of Energy. Be creative and build a momentum. I was still standing there and a thought came to my mind. I opened my phone and clicked on Send button on a specific mail to a specific mail address. I waited for a response. 30 seconds later the reply came. ETA 14 minutes. I need to spend 14 minutes inside the house. I proceeded to go back to the bedroom and remove the camera and mics. I came back to the kitchen and the living room, did the same. Almost 14 minutes. Stacy was sitting right there with that smirk on her face. What is she planning? I walked out of the house. A car drove towards me. I knew that car. Before I could get in, 3 shots were fired. 2 missed, and 1 hit me in my arm. I quickly got in, and we drove away. I saw the injury. It went grazing the arm. The driver said, "The shooter is a novice. Thanks for coming, Ralph. Glad to be of service, sir." Chapter 6, Weak Points and Strong. It explains how to respond to changes in the fluid battlefield over a given area. I went straight to Ralph's place. First aid done, and now to check who was the shooter. The footage from the camera outside the house was clear. It was Roger. The recordings from the recorders was clear. Stacy informed him and asked him to take care of me. If things get out, she is done and his father's political career is over. Roger was not given any other option. They have shown what they are afraid of. We just need to hit them right there. You were lucky, sir. The bullet did not hit any vein. Others have been informed and are on their way. ETA 5 hours. Thanks, Ralph. You saved my life today. I never told anyone, but I am alive because of you, sir. I owe my life to you, sir. 5 hours later, a team of 5 came in and stood in front of me. We got the mail, sir. Chapter 7, Maneuvering an Army. The start of direct confrontation and how to win them. Specific instructions were given to all 5. Team of 2 would shadow Roger's father and see if he is panicked. Another team of 2 will go find Roger. Ralph will confront him. Ralph, whatever you do, he needs to stay alive. We do not want to go to jail. Ralph smiled. I never killed anyone. I just wrecked them. Chapter 8, 9 and 10, Variation of Tactics, Army on March, and the 9 Situations. It explains how to respond to shifting circumstances successfully and moving your troops to the right place, and be ready to respond to varying situations on the battlefield. The team of 2 went after Roger, quickly found him at the college football field. He was there like nothing has happened. Or maybe he was confident that his father will take care of this. The other team tracked his father to a 5th-floor parking where he is meeting some special people from Mexico. Ralph put a mask on his face and dressed in his football gear. The name on the back said, Wrecker. He entered the field, and anyone could make out he was the odd one out. A 6'10", 300-pound man is always the odd one out. Roger with his 5'10" frame stood no chance. As soon as the ball was in play, Ralph charged forward. His eyes were set on his prey. He hit him like a truck, quickly got up, and left the field. The boys who tried to pick him up moved 2 steps back due to the smell. Roger was hit so hard that he broke his back and pooped in his pants. No one saw the big guy's face. Back in the parking, a transaction was taking place. The area was quickly filled with police sirens. Roger's father quickly got in his car and drove off. He could not make it far. His car was hit by another vehicle from the side and jumped 5 stories down. He was arrested in possession of crystal. Chapter 12. Attack by Fire. The general use of weapons and the specific use of the environment as a weapon. I walked into the police station and filed police complaint against my wife, Stacy. Attempt to kill. She was picked up within half an hour, and I submitted the audio and video recordings. I filed for divorce, and since Stacy had tried to kill me, it was no-brainer for the judge. Stacy was sentenced for 7 years and was ordered to pay $40,000 for the damages. The judge was harsh as I was a former Marine who served his country. Roger was also sentenced for 10 years. He will start his sentence as soon as he can get up on his feet. He still suffered from symptoms related to concussion. His father got a sentence for 20 years and still has a few more cases filed against him by the FBI. I am still healing from the gunshot injury. Once the divorce was final, I called Ralph. I thanked him and told him I will be there for him whenever he needs me. It may be soon, he said. I am in Thailand. Do you have some connections here? I'll make a few calls for you. They will call you, I said and hung up. I never installed any dating app or put my profile on any dating site. My mom still wants me to get another girl. I got myself 2 female German Shepherds. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.